want this to go on. That song right there, I just like it to just go on for some more.
I know
My
what you mean.
intro, I love my intro. I think my intro is so freaking cool.
Okay.
Good morning, people. Welcome to Touch Base Daily. It is Thursday, April 3rd.
It should. I mean, I think this is really April Fool's.
April Fool. We saw the April Fool yesterday on the lawn of the White House. That's what we saw.
He's a 12-month fool, so that goes from January to December.
Oh my gosh! So the market. I tell you, the market
It's at
is
1561 right now, 64.
It is not a good day at the stock exchange, and this is not a good day.
So I mean, MSNBC has a ticker going. There's nothing playing. It's just a ticker of how far it's dropping.
Yeah, I can show you my ticker right here. Hold on a second, because I always tell you guys I'm always looking at Yahoo Finance.
I was looking at that earlier too.
Platform for those that are interested in staying connected to your financial situation. And but there it is. The market is down 1471. If this is not on delay,
I think that. Well, I don't know who's delayed. Which one's delayed?
Yeah. So this, it says recently viewed. Looks like it's live. It does say live, but yeah, look at this. Look at Target.
And all the companies are doing. Even like Apple's doing really bad right now.
Oh, CPST is one of my companies.
Target down 12%.
Yeah. Tesla's down $19, which is down 7%.
I mean, Amazon's down 17%, and they're supposed to be buying TikTok by the end of the week, right?
Supposedly, that's the rumor.
They ain't gonna have no money.
Well, that's why I made the comment.
Yeah. they ain't gonna have no money to buy TikTok.
Rumor had it.
Oh no, TikTok America. Let's call it what it's being touted as.
TikTok, and then you understand why he was toting to Trump. Toting to Trump. Yeah. So hey, someone else is in the background here. There she is. Elise is there. She gotta bring her camera down. She gotta bring her camera down so we can see her. Bring your camera down so we can see your whole face. Elise is there. Gotta bring the camera down. There she is. There we go.
Oh, she's in New York. I'm like, where's her painting?
She's in New York. Yes, she's here in New York. So, here we are. So, let's say hello, but someone has feedback, so make sure you're.
I think that's Elise. You have feedback on your end.
Elise, yeah.
Is it gone now?
Hello. Yep, we're good. We're good. Okay, so let's say hello to some folks saying hello. The first person in the building is our wonderful Hannah. Good morning, Ron and Chris and Touch Base Daily family. Lisa says, good morning, everyone. Anthony's in the building with third, with the bronze. Good morning. And I see good morning to each other. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful people. Says Jazzy. DeSava's in the building. Good morning, she says. Oh, it's a good morning.
Yes.
Lisa Sealy, it's the day after Eric Adams beat his charges. And on top of that, he is now going to run as an independent in New York. He's leaving.
Oh, I heard. I didn't hear that.
He used to be a Republican. Then he became a Democrat.
He just sounds
confused.
And
now he's becoming independent.
He doesn't know what he wants to belong to the LGBTQ community. He's playing all the sides. All the sides he's playing.
I will not be voting for him this time around. Lisa says, be prepared to see a bunch of videos with those folks crying. Yes, a lot of people on the streets crying. DeSava says, Lisa Sealy, now we will be owned by a new master. Nope, he's not gonna win. I mean, who do you guys think is gonna win the New York Mirror? Do you think it's Cuomo? or do you think it's someone totally different?
Wait, Cuomo's going to run?
Oh yes, he already made his announcement. Yep.
Why would you put him back in office again?
Why do we keep staying with the old people?
Makes no sense.
Why don't we get some new blood? Lisa says, I kind of think he might be bad at his core, so he will be in trouble again eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, you wanted to say something, Chris, right?
No, I mean, I'm just like, people have short memory spans. Like, he got kicked out of office, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Yes, just get new people. There's so many great people out there.
Our country is hiring convicted felons to run the country, so why not New York State or New York City?
Maybe I should come run.
You should. You could win.
No, you're not. You can't because you're a black woman. You won't win.
All right.
Well,
Let's keep it real.
I think if a black woman, there is Adams, the woman not related to Mayor Adams. She's running, and she's getting some good traction here in New York. So people might be willing to get rid of these men and put a woman in at this point. Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying. Okay, let's go with Bryson. Bryson says, "What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, Gwen Dylan? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? Happy Law and Order Thursday. If y'all don't know, the CinemaCon is the big event where films be coming out. Coming out. Okay, sorry. Got it. Don't. Okay. Cuomo, Lisa says. Okay, Bryson says some of y'all don't know that Elon Musk been stepping down. He might be stepping down. Well, he may be getting kicked out.
Well, a couple things. There was rumor that Trump was going to ask him to step down. Mm-hmm. And he went on his X and said that, that's fake news. So that means it's probably happening. And then the board of the board of Tesla wants him to step down. I think they're going to try to vote him out. They're
going to vote him out. They will vote him out. He's gone.
He'll be a man without a home.
A man with no home. Cass says, thankful and thriving Thursday all. Jay Saber says, Ron Fox, you misread what I typed. I said Adams will be owned by a new master, and we know who that is. No, the reason why he will not be owned by Trump is because the lawyer yesterday, I think it was yesterday, he said, what you guys are doing in the Trump administration is against the law. So you must, if you're going to let this man off, you need to let him off 100% with no strings attached.
Yeah.
But listen, he's still going to owe him a favor because it's because of the Trump administration why that even happened. He will find a way to collect.
Oh,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I say that's why I say he can't. Adams cannot win the mayoral election. He will not be put back in office. Why? Because he has already tarnished his reputation, and he will go down as someone that can be manipulated by Trump, and no one trusts him. I do believe they were looking at something with his connection with this game. They put a little game plan together, working with ICE, which goes against New York City laws and New York State laws. So he is not going to ever. No one in their right mind. Now there are those people that will hold on to him as, he's our first black mayor, and there's a whole religious community.
He's not the first black mayor.
He's not.
I was like,
Mayor Jenkins was.
Mayor Jenkins is right. Is the first one. But
let's get that right.
I would say he's the worst, not the first.
They will be with him because he's a black mayor, I should say. And
I hope not.
But yeah, there are some people in the city that will stick with him.
I didn't understand how people voted on the first time. I didn't even live in New York. I was like, how did this happen? I asked my son, I said, how did they vote on this man?
Hold on, take the ticker off of Elisa's face so we can see her.
Let me. I want to say, hold on. Kimmy says good morning. Hi, Kimmy. Okay, there's Elise. Let me take off the rolling ticker for now too. Hold on a second, because when we were in, let me just take off.
You can take the ticker down.
I can take this down. There we go. There we go. Thank you, assistants.
Yes,
We're
I
all
can
in this
understand
together.
how New Yorkers voted for him in the first place, because he was never. So we need to just stop playing the game and allowing people to be formerly Republicans. Now we're going to run for Democrats. Then we're going to go back and we're going to be independent. He's not going to ever be independent.
No,
he's just not going to be. He can't be independent because he's going to be controlled.
yes,
and he's already sold his soul to the devil. So anyone who's misguided and thinking that these people won't have any control of, they're going to have total control over him.
That's why he can't win.
They do now. They have it now because he's going to do whatever they tell him to do. He's going to allow any and everything to happen in this city. So New York needs to get itself together and stop voting crazy, and definitely don't bring a Cuomo back. He needs to stay wherever he is, doing whatever he's doing.
Listen,
my thing people is, how does it feel for Cuomo to be a mayor of New York, and then he will be under the leadership of his lieutenant governor, who's now the governor, Hochul?
I just don't. I don't even understand why people in New York would vote for him. That's
my question.
Yeah,
it makes no sense.
But there are some people. He is leading in the polls,
of course. Because people go by names.
Yes,
like they just it's a Cuomo. We're gonna put that in there. Like someone needs to pop up. Maybe it does need to be a black woman somewhere.
When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. I mean, Gavin Newsom. Look, he can't get elected. He's another one. And then Fetterman in Pennsylvania, he's another one. Like all these people, when they start to show you their true colors, you guys need to kick their ass to the curb because they will hurt you. They're out for their own self-interest.
He's done in California out there.
Yes.
What is he doing? Why would
it happen overnight? Like the switch. Like did he fall and bump his head?
It must have been that kiss Melania gave him on the cheek.
Oh Lord.
She must have put a spell on him because she didn't kiss her husband on the cheek, but she sure kissed him on the cheek.
I got a spell.
There's something going down.
I don't know.
Something's going on. The 180 is ridiculous.
Anyway, well, first of all, we're going to go into, I want to share this real quick, and because there's a lot in the news today, and I think you should all know this information. I'm going to piece together something for you guys. So let's listen to this so you will understand what's happening.
Lose in Wisconsin and have worse than expected results in Florida. We're still dealing with the aftershocks of the Signal Gate scandal, the first scandal that really broke through in this term for the president. We also have even some, as we've been noting on this show, some MAGA supporters criticizing some of his heavy-handed deportation tactics. The list goes on. Some White House aides and senior Trump allies confided to me last night. This has been the toughest 2 weeks of his term by far. And now you add this extraordinary bet, this unpredictability with maybe real economic consequences, negative consequences. Republicans, they don't want to say too much publicly yet, outside of a few senators who have been willing to defy him, are really, really nervous about what happens now.
Yeah, they should be nervous. This is really, we're in uncharted waters. This is extraordinary. But one thing about Trump that I'd say is we all know that there are not a lot of core beliefs in Trump. He kind of blows with the wind, whoever's the last person he talked to and so forth. Tariffs are one thing, however it happened, when his genes were being formed, became a core belief. It is just something that he honestly just does believe deep down inside. And I don't know how this movie ends because a lot of what they're saying is that the only way these tariffs get reduced is if other countries reduce their tariffs and reduce their non-tariff barriers. These other countries don't believe they have non-tariff barriers at this magnitude, and they don't believe there's that much to reduce. They're more likely to retaliate, as we were talking about earlier, which just means Trump could even raise them further. Jim Van Hy reminded me of a couple of important points to make. One, we don't have the capacity to make this stuff here, even if we wanted to.
There we go,
and
number
it takes
one.
years and years to build factories. And businesses don't plan around one crazy guy in the White House imposing a lot of tariffs to invest billions of dollars. They say, well, let's just wait and see. And the second important point to make is that when the price of some imported good goes up, a pair of shoes, whatever, the domestic manufacturers raise their prices as well, because why wouldn't they? If the import is now going to cost 20% more, 30% more, whatever, then you raise your prices as well. So prices for all these things, it's not like you're going to go find a cheaper pair of shoes that are made here somewhere else. Those shoes are going to get just as expensive before this is over.
The headline here is a lot of uncertainty, and I've never heard of uncertainty being good for an economy. Steve, you're going to head over to the wall next block, and we'll take a look at some of the details here. But let's take a look now at some of the other stories making headlines.
So you see there, we'll go back to the wall because the wall is important. But I wanted to just kind of like take this off the screen, and there we go. So where we are, again, you saw, I don't know if you guys saw the coverage yesterday. He's on the lawn. He's trying to make this all stuff. And all of the fools, all the hackling fools that are on the lawn, bravo, bravo, and applauding. And then you also had the car manufacturer union guy on the saying, "Hey, with this is going to cause," and also, if I go to the next thought, is that they're saying, "Okay, Americans, okay, MAGA, okay, people, this is going to be short-term pain." It's not short-term pain when a person loses their job. It is not short-term pain when people can't pay their mortgages, their rents, and now they're homeless. That is, again, this is a fool. This person that's in the White House is there's nothing worse than someone ignorant in leadership that has no ability to learn, but think he's right. And on top of that, a narcissist.
Well, if I may,
yes.
Really, really quick, and pardon me, I'm sorry. He just kind of caught me off guard there. But we all know this, right? So, people who have lived in New York and has seen his way of running a business into the ground and stiffing people, never paying them. We all know that.
Yes.
So I get that we want to buy in America. Hello, I'm one of them. However, I also know that what we used to have here does not exist. Now, I'm a photographer, and some of my vendors are overseas. But even last year, when we realized that he was going to now come into office, I started looking for who could I get some albums and other things from, just in case what I normally buy overseas gets way out of pocket. Because it does impact every single thing that we purchase. We're global citizens. Again, we used to have factories here. The key word is used to. Some of that stuff is not here. It's not here anymore. And then when you talk about bringing back these manufacturing jobs, they wouldn't have left if the companies weren't so freaking greedy and took those jobs overseas. That's where that comes from. But if you think you're going to turn on the lights again, just like, next week, those are lies. Those are really lies. And are they prepared to pay Americans what it would cost to have them work in those factories again? I would like to know those answers. My gut says no, but
That's why they took them out the country to begin with. They didn't want to pay American workers. When they realized that they can sit there and pay these Chinese workers pennies on the dollar and not have to adhere to any type of rules and regulations when it came to workers, they were like, okay, yeah, this makes more sense. And then, cheap infrastructure over there. So why not? There's no, even if he wanted to do this, what he would have had to have done was years ago, built the infrastructure for that to happen. He tried to propose it and then couldn't even make it happen. So now you doing all of this is just bluster. Hello, Dr. Tachi.
Dr. Tachi's in the room.
Good morning.
We are talking about what's happening in the world right now.
Oh, really? What's happening?
Well, one thing I would like to say was happening that happened last night that people did not see it coming. Not that it's going to get through. but the 4 GOP senators that voted to eliminate Canadian import tariffs. And so that happened last night. They voted with the Democrats to take down
McConnell.
Yes.
No, well, they
woke
did.
up?
So there was rumors from earlier in the day or the day before that McConnell was going to vote against that and vote with the Democrats. So that was a surprise to me.
But Rand Paul, Susan Collins,
that one I didn't see coming.
McCoskey. But the sad thing about this is that Johnson says it will never hit the floor of the House.
Yeah.
So that's and this is what happens when you have bad players in all 4 branches of government, or 3 branches. 4th is a journalism, but the 3 branches of government. Okay, so let's hear something. Let's hear what's going on here.
President Trump's tariffs on Canadian imports. The bill now moves to the Republican-controlled House, where it's more than likely to die. Ahead of yesterday's vote, Trump called out the Republicans who were set to support the measure, writing on social media, quote, "What is wrong with them?" Other than suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, they have been extremely difficult to deal with and unbelievably disloyal to hardworking Majority Leader John Thune and the Republican Party itself. The other Republican to vote for the measure, Senator Mitch McConnell, defended his position in a statement, writing in part, quote, "At a time when Americans are tightening their belts, we would do well to avoid policies that heap on the pain. We ought to strengthen our friendships abroad and reinforce our allies as pillars of American prosperity and security." And Steve Ratner, you say most economists believe the tariffs are counterproductive and that there is hard evidence to back that view. Can you walk us through the numbers? And is there any positive take on this?
Well, I can answer the second question first. I don't think there's a single positive take on this. This is all just bad. It's bad, as we talked about before, for inflation. It's bad for economic growth. It's bad for everything. But let me put this a little bit in perspective. We talked about the stock market today and how bad a day it's going to have. This chart predates that, and it goes back really to the election. And I wanted to show you, because Trump's got a bunch, as we also talked briefly about before, of other economic and challenges he's facing. And so the stock market, which is this red line, our stock market, we start out here. And he was doing pretty well after the election. There was this burst of Trump euphoria, as we saw in 2016 as well. But since Inauguration Day, it has basically been straight down for our stock market. And that is a combination of anticipation of these tariffs, but also just all the chaos and commotion down there. The cutting, the Doge, all this stuff and the uncertainty has really scared the market. And that's actually in stark contrast. China, which has had a terrible run in its stock market, has actually done exceptionally well. And even Europe, which is certainly nothing to brag about on the economic front, has way outperformed us. So Trump had a set of challenges already, as represented by this.
Just to pause there. And just so we all know why the European markets are doing good and the Chinese markets are doing good since Trump took office, because he set up all these tariffs and all these, he's setting up wars with our friends. And then he also went after Ukraine, the little hijack that he did. After those moments, people said, we are done with America. We are done. We are not trading. We're not trusting them. We don't want to have anything to do. So this fool thinks that if you raise tariffs, people are going to say, oh, I'm coming back to America. Hell no. They are going to Europe. All of the smaller countries that are doing contracts have now canceled their contracts with American companies and now are going to European companies, also going to China. China has the greatest infrastructure, as in they're building all throughout Africa, all through the Central America, all through South America, through also the Caribbean. China is everywhere. So as Trump, in his foolish moron mindset, pulls America out of all these markets that they were barely holding on before. And now when these markets are gone, no one's going to say, hey, you know what? We need to build a factory in America to offset. First of all, like this gentleman just said, it takes years to build a factory. What are people supposed to do during the time that factories are being built? 4 years it takes to build a factory, estimated. 4 to 5 years to build a factory up and running and productive. What are Americans supposed to do? Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
Can I just jump? I want to go back to Mitch McConnell. I do not believe we should be giving him any type of credit. He is the reason, one of the main reasons why Trump is back in power. So when all of a sudden now he finds a soul and he finds, what he's doing is wrong. That's bullshit. He should be the number one person that everyone looks and blames, from blocking Obama's judges and stuff like that to empowering Trump. He is the main reason.
Well,
so
also, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, I'm done.
Tachi, were you going to say something, Dr. Tachi?
Yeah, you were talking about the 4 to 5 years to build a factory. Yes, it takes a long time, but once it's built, who gonna work there, boo? Who gonna check me, boo? You kicked out everybody who would possibly be interested in working there, because Americans are not going to work for your 2 cents per hour and the poor treatment. This is why there's so many places that are unionized. They're not going to do it. But who would do it? People that are immigrants who are looking for a way to build, right? They would do it. But no, you said you don't want them. Now, whether or not there's, the moral aspect of that, that's a different story. But that was not thought through. This was not thought through at all. And let's be clear, China is not a friend of the U.S.
Yes.
It's a competitor to the U.S. It's the largest economy currently at this point, albeit it's off of plastic trinkets, but it's the largest economy, at this point. There's no way at this point that they can compete. Now, there's some problems on the Chinese end in terms of how they're able to get that stuff done so cheaply. When you do things cheaply, our appetite for cheap products, let's put this on us. Our appetite for cheap products has caused many of the problems in terms of underpaying workers in other parts of the world, in terms of not building things up to code so that you can get things through quickly. And the child labor, exactly. The buildings collapsing because things are not up to code, because you're so busy trying to get things done quickly. There are a lot of problems that have been fueled by our appetite for cheap things, including people going over, taking the factories overseas.
And also, people think there's manufacturing going on in China. There is some manufacturing going on in China. However, if you if you stay informed of what's going on in Africa, most of those Chinese companies, and the reason why they're building roads throughout Africa to be able to ship and maneuver and move, is because African countries are now the ones who are doing the productions. They are manufacturing. They are the hard B workers. And then China is outsourced to Africa, outsourced to Vietnam, outsourced to Cambodia, outsourced. So just so you get a clear picture, China is not that same China that we thought of years ago when it used to be the place that everything went to be outsourced. They're outsourcing.
May I?
Which I don't like, by the way. I hate that. Go ahead.
I'll add to what Lisa is saying is, this is what I was talking about early on last year, where we saw a number of states beginning to roll back child labor laws to allow those who are really young to be in these dangerous working conditions and not be protected in the event that they had any kind of accident. We've been seeing that for months. Arkansas, Iowa. Now you have down there in Florida, where they're trying to pass that bill that these kids can work overnight and not be given a meal break. When you start taking away the education and you start doing these scam school vouchers, then you create a working class of people that you can exploit. Somebody thought it through. Somebody thought this through. Because you don't want to pay the adults. You can't keep exploiting them. So we'll go to those who are younger. And if you are a family that's at the poverty line or below, in your mind, that's one more person who can bring some kind of money into the house. You're not thinking, well, my child might get hurt. My child should be in school. You're not considering that. It is a cycle.
I'm sorry. May I add to that? Because you've got me on fire now. The whole thing is because of living in Florida. So we get out of school earlier than anybody else. Like I'm like, it's only like the first week of May. Why are you guys out of school? And that stems from the days of, this is a big agricultural state because of the weather year round. And for most of the state, you can always plant things, right? Despite the seasons. So this is a holdover from when kids would only go to school a little bit of the time so that they could go and pick in the fields, right?
Yes.
So that's a holdover. So the infrastructure for kids to go back to work is already there.
Yes.
The infrastructure already exists because it existed from long ago, and it seems they never made adjustments for that. Now, you could say also, in May it's hot now, damn it. But you can start to say in May, it starts to get hotter, and those are the hottest months, and you don't want to burn electricity. Fine. You could say part of that, but it really is a holdover from the agricultural days where particularly Black children, went to school for a little bit of the year, and then the rest they were off because of that. That lack of education creates an underclass that they want.
Exactly. It's all part of the game. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go back to the charts, because the charts are so important. I love when people, when I was in school, when I was in college, one of my professor, he says, because we used to study markets and stuff, and he would say, "You are a chartist." I used to make charts. I love charts because you cannot lie with numbers. The charts do not lie. So let's go back to the charts. Okay, here we go.
Stock market before. And again, before yesterday, because we don't have updated numbers just yet, economists were taking down their projections for the economy for this year. So Goldman Sachs thinks that unemployment, which they thought was going to be 4%, they now think is going to be 4.5%. And these numbers are going to get worse when they put out a new forecast. Inflation, which they thought was going to be between 2 and 2.5%, they now think is going to be almost 3.5%. And economic growth, which was supposed to be almost 2.5%, they've taken down to 1%. And let me just inject, the last quarter of the Biden administration, economic growth was 2.8%, and inflation was down in the 3% range. And so they have taken an economy that was actually in pretty decent shape and moving in the right direction, and they are going to turn it upside down. And I think 50-50 into a recession.
Wow, 50-50. And you have, as you said, companies like Goldman Sachs using the word stagflation, that combination of inflation and slowing growth. So let's move to your second chart, Steve, which is really the heart of this matter. Rising prices for regular people just trying to buy things around the house. What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so this is an analysis done by Yale's Budget Lab. It was, again, done before yesterday. It assumed a 20% universal tariff. I think you're going to find these numbers get a bit worse when they rerun them for the actual proposal, but it'll give you a very good sense of what we're looking at. And so it divides the country into 10 groups based on income. If you take the middle group here, they're looking at an average of $3,800 a year in additional costs to them. As you go up the income scale, the actual dollars you get do go up, but what's happening is the percent loss of your income is going down. In other words, it's regressive. People at the upper end are losing less of their income. People at the bottom end are losing more of their income, over 5% of the income, $2,300, somewhere in the second tenth from the bottom, which is probably $20,000 a year or something like that of annual income. Obviously not a lot. So this is an indication of consumers. We're also starting to see an impact on business, and that's, again, part of why share prices are so depressed, because of the cost. This is prices paid by manufacturers for their goods that they need to make their product, and you can see how it's already shot up before the tariffs. In anticipation of the tariffs, companies are adding to their prices, and we've also had a few tariffs put in place. And I'll just also quickly note that manufacturing has turned down and is now in contraction, another piece of not good news for the Trump administration.
So as we move to your third chart, you raised President McKinley a few minutes ago, Steve. So let's talk about the history of tariffs. We have a long record to prove whether they work or they don't work. What does it show you?
Yeah, and we don't have to go back to McKinley. We only have to really go back to Trump 1.0 because he put in a bunch of tariffs. He put in steel tariffs. And by the way, putting in steel and aluminum tariffs, which he's also done this time, is really actually particularly dumb because you're raising the prices for companies in this country that use steel and aluminum to make their products, like car companies. In fact, I think the CEO of Ford used the word dumb when he put in his last round of steel and aluminum tariffs. But let's go back to the ones that he put in last time around. So we gained a grand total of 1,000 steel jobs. But for the reason I said, all the increased cost to all the steel users, we actually lost 75,000 jobs out in the manufacturing industry because their steel prices had gone up. So net loss of 74,000 jobs from that set of tariffs.
And Steve, sorry to interrupt. This is the whole crux of the argument for the president, which is we're putting these tariffs on because it's going to help the American economy. It's going to drive business to the United States and create jobs. But what you're saying is just the opposite happened a few years ago.
Yeah, and as I said, because when they put them on raw materials like steel and aluminum, it's particularly stupid because that's what our companies use to make their products. And so their costs go up, their sales go down, and they cut their workforce. Let's look at his farm tariffs. So he put on $50 billion of total tariffs in Trump 1.0 in his trade war then. But it hurt our farmers because our biggest export is farm products like soybeans. And so he ended up subsidizing our farmers for $24 billion. So he took his $50 billion and spent half of it giving it back to farmers. So they've talked about how these tariffs are going to solve the budget deficit problem and generate hundreds of billions of dollars of revenues. History would not tell you that that is what is likely to happen. And then let's look at one other specific example from the past, laundry machines. They put a tariff on laundry machines. It raised the price of laundry machines by $200. And by the way, companies also increased the price of dryers because they sell them together. And they created 1,800 jobs at a cost per job of $817,000 per job created because there was some additional domestic production. But when the tariffs ended during the Biden administration, the price of the machines went down $75. And when all is said and done, they actually went down by a bit less, by a bit more than inflation. So here's an example of exactly how it works. You put on tariffs, prices go up for everything, domestic, imported, washing machines and dryers. You take them off, they go down. And for all that, you've paid $800,000 a job.
How quickly are American consumers going to feel this?
I think probably very quickly. And then in the next few months, the tariffs go into effect over the next few days, instantaneously, almost instantaneously. There are some goods that are already here that won't be tariffed. But I think, frankly, you're going to see companies start to raise prices right away because it's going to be, as we talked earlier, it's going to be hard for them to recoup all the costs of the tariff. And they're going to do their best to do it by raising prices very quickly.
Morning, Joe, economic analyst.
Can I say something really quickly?
Yes, sir.
So what that really boils down to is now that these tariffs are in place and the fact that this cabinet has gutted all of the regulatory bodies that oversee a lot of these companies, you're going to see price gouging like you've never seen before. And there's no one that the American people can turn to say, hey, I think they're taking advantage of us.
Yes. You hit it on.
This is greed.
And they were saying because the car manufacturers are going to, make sure you guys hit the likes. Because of the car manufacturers know that the prices are going to start going up probably next week or 2 weeks, and on what they call the next shipment of cars coming into the country, they're going to start raising their prices now because of the supply and demand. Remember the supply and demand. There's going to be so much of a want for cars now that are on the lots. That's going to drive those prices up.
Those cars that are there now that have already been imported under previous taxes are going to go up. So if you, like yesterday, a car was $34,000. You go on that lot today, it's $44,000. Because they're saying on average, a car's going to go for about $10,000.
Correct.
That is crazy.
So
who can afford that?
But this is where we are because folks let the orange man in.
Dr. Mental disease.
Dr. Tachi?
Yeah, no, that's exactly the point. And here's the thing with that. Because of that, the coastal cities, the major cities, this is where we're going to, I wouldn't say see thriving in the transportation sector, but they're going to be better off than the people who live in the middle of the country who have to drive to get someplace.
Yeah.
So because all y'all wanted to live so far away from us, this is what you get now.
Yeah. True.
That's part of the thing.
It's the truth.
All you people in Staten Island that were so ready to get away from us. Now, although New York City is a different case because there is a subway system there. But the coastal cities, one line, that's it. And if you live there, I'm not taking you back either. You better catch that ferry. So the coastal cities, I think, are going to fare much better than Middle America. And the funny thing is, Middle America are the very ones who supported this debauchery, who support all of this. And again, we can keep going back to the fact of voting against your own interests. They think they're voting for their interests because they are not the others, right?
Yes.
But now you've messed yourself up because of this tariff war that's happening. You've now jerry-rigged yourself out of transportation.
Yep.
And you won't be able to afford to get another car.
Yes. I see also. Let me just go through some of your comments because you guys are really chatting up and sharing. So let me go back and then we can address some of these comments together. And you guys have been really talking. Woo! It goes back. I don't like Adams. Okay, we got Adams in there. We got this one in. Hey, Janet's in the building. I didn't see Janet pop into the building. And Janet says, Elise, you are right about our so-called mayor, Chris. Thanks for correcting Ron. First black mayor. Yes, gotcha. Thank you, Janice. And DeSaver says, Cuomo allegedly sexually harassed all those women. How quickly people forget certain transgressions. We have Anthony.
Well, the Me Too movement is over.
Yes. And then Kimi says, Fetterman is switching up quick. Yes. And I see here Lisa says, so y'all all down with Bill Clinton, but not Cuomo. Cuomo was phenomenal as governor away from the lady troubles. He was an excellent governor, I thought. I mean, look at our infrastructure. I mean, we got several bridges built, new airports here in New York. Infrastructurally, he was excellent. So, but yeah, he has some other problems. Mimi Hinton says Fetterman needed some pants. Amparo's in the building. Hey, Amparo, we haven't seen you in a while. Bryson says, how is it going? Okay, we got going on. DeSaver says Lisa Sealy, over a dozen women, phenomenal as governor, but not for his staff. Is that okay? Ooh, Elise says, good morning, everyone. We saw Elise pop in. She had to go for a phone call. Hey, Brian's in the building. I see Brian. And let me get some in here. And Adrian Adams is no different. She knew all the nonsense Eric Adams was doing and said not a dang thing. Ooh, Lisa on what's her name? What's her full name? Adrian Adams. I did not know her first name. Okay, and Bryson says, may I join? We're gonna get you in hopefully at the end, Brian, because we're gonna go to the next subject in a little bit. Lisa says, DeSaver, I don't understand what you mean. Are you saying I am minimizing the women's allegations? DeSaver says, it's unbelievable. The Eric is proposing tariffs and anything else based on his own understanding. It should be disclosed how he's coming up with all this. I guess Project 2025, folks. Kimmy says, it's amazing that they ignoring analysts and history. Let's just stop there. Mm-hmm. People also don't understand.
Oh, I think Gwendolyn has something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Gwendolyn. For a while.
Gwendolyn, go ahead.
Well, when she mentioned Project 2025, I was going to say, yes, there is a section on there that talked about children working more to build what was it, like character and integrity and all that kind of stuff. So yes, Project 2025, it is in there. Okay.
All of this is in Project 2025, to be quite frank. the education system being gone, working, lowering the ages, having children work. Everything is in Project 2025. If you did not read Project 2025, you might want to go visit it if you want to just kind of understand what's happening. Brian says the price is about to go up, skyrocketing. That's why I bought my phone last month in February. Well, now it's 2 months ago. Jelly said it takes years to build factories. The labor alone will cost more to make here. Exactly. Kimmy Kim says, tell me how long is short term? 1 month, 1 year, 10 years? Lisa says, where are people supposed to get an extra $6,000 from? Yes, right. Dave Saber says, Lisa Seeley, your comment about him being a great governor up here, the way are you? Okay, Dave Saber, don't know why that's there. Okay, so this, well, I say also support one another's comments. Anthony's Roland says, we are a global economic, everyone is affected. Economy, sorry, thank you. And this is people forget that we are all global citizens. We may be Americans, but we are global citizens first. And because we are all connected. What happens in China affects us. What happens in Africa affects us. What happens in South America affects us.
Can I say one thing? And this was reported yesterday that the economy of travel within the United States is going to lose about $60 billion this year. And a lot of that's about to start because of the travel. The summer travel season starts around early May to the fall. And most people people don't want to get on a plane because they're afraid it's going to fall out of the sky. That's the first thing. A lot of other countries are not wanting to take to let Americans in to their borders anymore. And then a lot of people are afraid to come to the United States. So you're going to lose a lot of tourist money. A lot of foreigners come to the United States, especially like New York and Florida during spring break and the summer months. And Times Square is going to be pretty dead this summer.
Well, you are absolutely right. They did say that the numbers, they looked at the numbers of Canadians that used to come to the United States is down like 50%. Yep. But also Mimi says something here. Mimi Hinton says, right, Gwendolyn, no textile plants are in U.S. like it used to be. Most clothing is made in other countries. And that's why this morning, Target, Walmart, all those manufacturers of retail clothing were down sharply this morning because of the tariffs.
I can't say I feel sorry for them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moving right along.
Since January or late December.
Lisa says, they say my comment was about him being a first great governor because he was. He was never convicted with any crime, so I am not saying anything about that. He is actually considering suing James. Also, Jazzy says, say that again, Gwendolyn. Jay says, Chris, exactly. They seem to have forgot why jobs went and how they went overseas in the first place. That one. Dr. Tachi, okay, moving on. Jazzy says, Taggart. Then we also have Anthony Rowland says, even if you find purveyors stateside, their equipment, just like ours, comes from overseas. Everything comes from, most things come from overseas. And also, Jazzy says, thank you. Why aren't people seeing this very obvious thing? Danette's in the building. How you doing, Danette? She said, I keep screaming, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And got Brian and with the hands up. And we have Lisa saying, I'm not in favor of anything he does, but true. These countries are charging us these tariffs, but we are not charging them. It's very hard to find this information. Well,
listen,
if you, I did have set up, I was going to share what Rachel did yesterday. She brought out all of these countries that don't even have population that have been charged tariffs.
The penguins.
I mean, this is
ridiculous.
The insanity of it all. It's insane. But I want to also bring you into something else. I'm just trying to get through some of these comments because you guys are really talking up a storm here. I'm going to go slide through here, go to some down here. I need a producer, right? We need a producer. Keep popping them up.
Sometimes
I keep telling you,
you could just
Ron,
you could just show them as things are happening.
Yeah,
because by the time you get to it, that's like 2 hours ago. Okay?
I know. Yeah. So
we
here we go.
need to get you an intern, Ron.
We need an intern. Okay, Jelly says Mississippi is currently trying to get rid of state income tax. How are y'all paying for anything? Lisa again at the end says that's why I haven't come back to Mexico yet, and y'all know I go at least 5 times a year. But I heard they are penalizing Americans, so I'll stay my butt right here. You know, someone brought in the point of Chris said about the planes and people are afraid to ride the planes. One of my friends literally took the train last week to visit another friend because she said she's not flying. So there is a fear.
Tons of people saying that.
A fear.
And this is people that travel internationally for a lot of things and even domestically. And they say, I'm not getting on a plane if I don't have to. So people that normally would see me over the summertime, you know, or taking these trips, I won't be doing it until these planes are not crashing and bumping into each other on the tarmac. It's ridiculous. I'm so glad I don't have to travel right now for work. Like last year, I was just traveling. I was always in the airport on a plane. And now I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. If y'all don't need to send me anywhere, I can stay right here and do what I need to do.
My next thing that I want to bring to you, because I follow this gentleman, Malcolm Nance, and you can follow his page on Instagram, but also on Substack. And he used to work in special intelligence. And it was also said on CNN last night on the Abby show. I did tune in yesterday. And one of the comments was that tariffs are usually associated with war. Tariffs are usually associated with war. And so one of the questions was like, are we moving towards some conflict? Is this an indicator that the American folks are moving towards a war? Well, on Substack, Malcolm Nance, Special Intelligence, does an amazing job in sharing a war is coming. Where will the blow fall first? And then he talks about all the stuff where the UB bombers have all been shipped. Here we go. Let me just read this real quick. Let me see if I can pop this, make this bigger on the screen. And here we go. Hold a second. Let's get there. Okay. If you thought things were bad in American national security fear in the last 48 hours, be prepared for another dramatic shift in U.S. policy that will affect every one of you reading this. Apparently, the Trump regime is preparing for 2 major blows to U.S. foreign policy. They are making it clear they intend to invade and seize Greenland, and they are also silently preparing to attack Iran, according to Malcolm, with strategic bombers. Which blow falls first is entirely up to Trump. The joke is we should be well informed of any impending attack by just checking to see if we were advertently added to a signal chat. Recall that last week saw one of the most disastrous security breaches in U.S. history when Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Director of National Security Tulsa Gabbard supposed secret war plans using the Signal app on their private phones. As I made clear in my analysis, this may be the greatest breach of intelligence in U.S. history, principally because the principals were using private telephones to communicate on the Signal app. Even though it is encrypted, the phones are relatively easy to crack, and thus virtually everything they have ever said would be read. Then he goes on and he talks about, however, while all of this was happening, transparent, the Trump regime quietly started moving. Here we go, y'all. 1/3 of America's strategic bomb forces from its home base in Missouri to a secret remote airstrip in the middle of the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia. In late March, a massive U.S. Air Force in-flight refueling tankers were seen staging all across the Pacific Ocean from California. This indicated that an air armada was being formed and needed nonstop in-flight refueling. And then it goes on and on. But then he brings up the strategic of the bases. Then he brings out all this information, and the target, Iran. So it's a good read. He talks about Netanyahu has likely convinced Trump that now is the time to demand complete disarmament or to join forces and strike the Iranian nuclear weapons program once and for all. This led to the quiet deployment of the B-2 bombers. And then it goes on. So this is a good read, but what I bring it to your point, to your attention, because the media is not talking about it, obviously.
Well, they're always late to the game.
They're always late to the game.
If you believe that this is going to take place overseas, we've all got something coming. They're going to bring it to these shores.
You better believe it. So this is now, y'all, if you don't, I mentioned him before. If you haven't started following Malcolm Nance, you might want to start doing so. One is he's an amazing brother, black man that is highly accredited in the special intelligence field. So much so that the Russian government talks about him on their TV because of his role helping and working in Ukraine. And so, again, very smart, very intelligent. And this is not mainstream yet. He just put this out yesterday on his Substack. But I expect people are going to start looking into this because we already know that he is definitely saying he is going to take Greenland. He wants to take Greenland. That's one conflict. They also said that there is they saw plans drawn up for the Panama Canal, and also now this in Iran.
Okay, so just in regards to all of that, any person who is in this country who sees a person attacking their allies should know that shit's about to hit the fan at some point. It's just a matter of when. You're fighting with your neighbors on the same goddamn continent. Yeah. So I'm just like it could come from anywhere. This whole talk about taking Greenland and all that BS, and it's just like we just know that he's just waiting for some reason to do something. The same thing with the Alien Enemies Act. He just needs some reason to start this whole kerfuffle. It's a matter of when. So if people don't recognize that when you start fighting with the person literally sitting next to you, that something's about to go down, then you're just choosing to be ignorant. I don't know. There's just like, no, it can never happen. I mean, like, really? I mean, I appreciate his article. Probably not going to read it though, because I got to protect my inner peace. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I appreciate the article. Good. But the moment you start fighting your allies and voting with Russia, what else are you expecting? Like, I'm not surprised. I'm just like, go ahead and get started. Like, can we get there already? Because really.
So this is the thing, and I told you this morning. I said this morning, Ron, that there are this goes beyond him being stupid, because he is very daft, dumb. There are certain people who get a rise out of causing chaos. It makes them feel good. Just take a look at all the other things where people that are deranged that get a rise out of unaliving animals, for example, right? So I truly think that this is part of what this is. He's doing this because he can, and it somehow makes him feel good to cause destruction and chaos.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And I think, but these are things that we should keep on our radar. Like I said, again, yes, we protect our inner peace, but also we take the time to know what's going on, be vigilant of what's happening, and again, not let it rob your joy. Well, but at least it's always good to know, at least from my standpoint, of what's happening. I'm not going to let it rob my joy, But the thing is definitely trying to understand, because you're like, what the hell is going on? Why now? Why the tariffs? Why this? Why that?
I appreciate the knowledge. The only thing I would add to that conversation, though, is what is the next action? Because we do a lot of chit chatting here, but it's like, okay, so now what? Then the action should be, hey, as we've been saying, get you some good people, start putting stuff aside. When he talked about how we're going to come into this age of America's going to be wealthy again, don't know what that's about. However, since we have these choices, then perhaps what we should do is buy our fruits and vegetables and what have you from Black farmers in our area and make sure that we're supporting other Black businesses that we are aware of. Perhaps that's what we can do to keep our Black dollars in our environment. But it's good to know about it. But the second part is, okay, so now that I know about it, what am I supposed to do in terms of like, what can I really do? So get your beans, get your canned goods, get your water, get your batteries. Like there needs to be something, some sort of call to action beyond just having the conversation. There's a lot of shit that we are aware of. It's a lot. But just talking about something and not giving people some sort of, here's what you can do moving forward. I feel like that's the missing piece. I saw someone in here, I guess it was Cass and Donette, when they talked about being able to teach the kids in their community. What's the action? Because we have a way to make a difference. What are some of those things? Like, what does that look like?
I agree.
You know, part of, sorry, go ahead.
No, Dr.
Well, it's part of the thing when we're talking about Black farmers. I always put this out there, blackfarmersindex.com. That gives you a listing of the Black farmers that are in your area or close to you. There are several, and I think we put them on the screen at several different times. People that Black businesses that sell different types of things. So buyblacks.com is one out of Canada that you can look at. It's Black Canadians that put that together. There are so many. I have like a list of them. And I would also kind of extend this to, yes, definitely Black, but then people on the side of right, because let's be clear, everybody who is Black is not on the side of right. So you want to support Black people on the side of right, and those who are, I keep saying Penzies Spices. They are so anti this administration. They put it on their stuff all the time. They have specials that are named the anti, they're gully with it and they don't care. So you want people that are on the side of saving democracy as well.
Yes. Those are good calls of action, and definitely supporting those that support democracy. But again, and I've been saying it for weeks now, every time you go shopping, buy a little extra. Buy a little extra
goods. Listen, this weekend is food shopping this weekend.
It's so important that we start doing that. We don't know what the world's going to look like. Make sure you put $100, $200, $300, $500 somewhere in your apartment, somewhere in a box, somewhere in a wall. If you have a safe, put it in a safe, because when the banking system no longer works, you're going to need cash, and the cash will only work for so long. I mean, these are not to scare you and like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling. But that is a call to action. I've been saying it week after week after week. When you go shopping, buy extras and store. I
don't think what you're saying is scary. I think we have to be realistic. Like all the things that people say, oh, that'll never happen. Now it's all happening. And then you're like, oh, I can't believe it's happening. How can you not believe it? We've been saying it from day one. It's going to happen. I mean, honestly, all these things have been predicted from the first time he was running for office. When he came down that golden shit escalator, we should have known we was in trouble then. Yeah. I mean, he is horrific. I'm looking at the markets globally right now. The markets around the world are all down. Asia, Europe, they're all down. Today is a shit show, and it's just getting started.
And we're only 3 months in to this administration.
Oh, it feels like 3 years. It feels like we've been doing this forever. It's like the longest nightmare.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is, sorry, quickly, last thing, regimes only stay in place because of two things, fear and greed.
Yes.
So once you lose that fear, you can, I mean, people can do something about this now. You're allowing this to take place. And there are factions that are allowing this to take place, but military juntas, dictators, they're only in charge because they have people around them that allow it.
Yes.
That's all I'll say on that. But then the greed, American greed has been, and Europeans are very guilty as well. Don't sit and act like you've been innocent all this time, Europe. You have not. You were the progenitors of this type of action. However, Americans have been very greedy for a very long time, and this has dictated their actions and the way they move within the world, and the egotistical nature of an American. The fact that some of us think we're better than everybody else and therefore deserve to do what we do. You're going to deserve this ass whooping too. I'll say that. Excuse me.
So, on a lighter note,
yes.
So you got all this information. I will definitely put all of this in the description of our video of this YouTube video, so you'll have that. But it is something to look at, and don't put it past. Again, this whole thing with Iran, I think I really believe, Malcolm, that something is brewing. You don't move 1/3 of your B-2 bombers over to, a particular place if you're not going to use them. So I think we need to really start thinking outside the box. If you have your children, take some time and kind of like school them along the way of what's happening. Don't let your kids be shocked when the stuff hit the fan. And so I just think we need to just educate along the way, educate our families, educate people that we love, that we can help them process this, because again, our generation and younger have never been through this stuff before. And so only those of us who know history, read history, that's the only reason why we know it. And we have to teach and share and educate. I hope we can use this platform to educate, so that way you can leave and go and do something about it. And again, make sure you go. Okay, Gwendolyn.
Can we bring up Jazzy's comment?
Yes, where's Jazzy?
Which I absolutely love. But this speaks to this speaks to what I was talking about. Because I know Ron is okay, my mama picked cotton before she went to school. Okay. So we're not too far removed from some things. And I have mentioned before that we have dealt with food insecurity more than once in my lifetime. And I'm not even 50 yet. So when we talk about community, and some of us do speak from a place of privilege, being able to get out and travel and take our passports and do stuff. This is where it comes back to when we say community and get some good people. My parents, our neighbors had no problems feeding people when they didn't have. We shared food. We shopped together. I know it's a little odd for a lot of us because some of us just do things on our own, and I get it. We're going to have to pick up some of our old school habits. Some of our roots. We got to get back some of our roots and start sharing with people. But we have to give them a safe space to even talk about it and acknowledge it. Food insecurity is right in our face. People don't say anything because we stop talking to each other. We stop looking at each other because we don't want to be nosy. Get nosy. Talk to your neighbors. Figure out what's going on. Create a safe space to say, you know what? I'm having some trouble this month. This is not $20, $30, $40 to get a new wig. It's not that shit. We talking about getting some food and things, right? Your necessities. Talk about that. But we got to start doing more of this and checking in on people and read the body language.
Yeah.
Check the word choice, because people will tell you that something's happening without telling you something is happening.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just to piggyback off of what Gwendolyn is saying, a lot of places where food banks where people would rely on are going away because they're not being funded anymore. So people that would be able to turn to those places now have nowhere to turn.
Yeah. I love your comments. Everyone's sharing. Yeah, we do. We are we work, we have privilege, we have a lot. We have a whole lot. A whole lot. And but we need to start looking out for the people that don't. Okay, what time is it? Are we good? Are we good?
12:11.
What, Pastor
Okay,
Ron getting his sermon early?
One last thing.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, this is for the people who can do it. When we talk about situations and power, there's something that Anchor, you've mentioned this before, Chris, makes a lot of good power banks and power sources. Well, they have one now that can fuel your entire house, and it is run using solar power.
Yes.
So I can't remember the model number of it, but they just came out with a new model of it.
Yeah.
So if you can,
they had a price cut also. It was $1,000 down to, I think, either $599 or $699. So definitely take a look at that. That's something that, especially depending on even the state that you live in. You know, you live in Florida, you're prone to hurricanes and those type of natural disasters. That's something you should have as a backup. It's not those expensive generators that you from past, and then also because it's solar, it's something that you're not relying on a grid to power up. You can just use the sun. It's so important. Ron did a whole episode on that a couple weeks ago. Go back and watch that episode.
I carry my solar panel with me everywhere I go. I know y'all say that, Ron, you're crazy.
That's not crazy. That's being realistic.
And it has the 2 power packs that go with it. It sits in my bag. It's quick. If I'm ever in a situation where the power grid goes out,
you're good.
I'm finding a little secret place on a roof somewhere. So, because you don't want anyone to know you got your gear. And I'm unfolding my solar panels. And
no, we're not sharing that.
This is Fallout Shelter in real life, Chris. This is Fallout Shelter in real life.
I'm gonna have my solar panels. It's right in the back there. It's right in my bag. I have a solar panel everywhere I go in case I need it, because I'm reading the environment we're in. And so it may be a little extra weight on my back, but you know what? If something goes down, I got power.
Solar power, canned food, and a can opener.
Exactly. But see, this is all when we talk about this whole thing of privilege, and those of us that swim in privilege, there are some. I'm not sharing with you if you have 30 pairs of Louboutins in your closet. I'm not sharing with you if you have a whole bunch of Jordans in your closet, because your priorities were elsewhere. We're telling you now, instead of going to the sale at Neiman Marcus and buying another pair of Louboutins, instead of that Bottega Veneta bag, I need you to go and buy this other stuff so that you can be prepared. Because if I know you have these things, I'm not sharing with you.
Well, listen, they're going to be homeless, but they're going to have something good on their feet. They're going to be homeless with Louis Vuittons.
It's a good deal, Dr. Tachi. I'm just saying.
What happened? Well, I hope you can maybe burn them to fuel your house when they come.
Well, that was a good set. We did a couple of months ago. I'll put the link in. We did. I talked about your having a getaway bag, your go bag. So that way these are certain things you should have in your go bag, your radio, transition radio, the wind up radio, having flashlights, having this, having that. So I'll make sure that link is in the video as well in this description. But guys, thank you so much. We didn't get a chance to bring Brian on. Brian, give me a call. We need to talk some stuff also. So, but we are going to, I think it's time to go. And tomorrow's Friday. We have Focus Friday. We'll just do this again. I would like to do something different tomorrow. I mean, Brian, if you're there, I included, is that we can I want to see how many people we can get on a grid and have conversation. So we can probably do that tomorrow. I think it'd be
bring the community
have
on.
like maybe 8 of us on here, and then we can just kind of like have a round table. So we'll try.
Are you inviting me too?
Yeah.
You seem to be a regular now.
You're a regular.
Yeah.
You're a regular. You can pop on anytime. But yeah, I think tomorrow would be nice to just feel out what people are feeling and talking and just kind of like, if you are available and you want to be a part of the round table, I mean, a community table conversation, even if it's 20 people, I don't know how many we
I
can
love
fit,
it. I
but we
think
can
it
just
can.
all be a part of that.
I think it depends on the tier that you're on with
right.
With that.
The highest tier with this is 12.
Okay, 12. Okay, 12. So we'll get 12 in. Okay, so let's try to do that tomorrow. If you want to speak and talk, just gonna have a conversation. What are your ideas? What are you learning? What are you, because this is a community. So that means you are seeking out information as well. And again, when you look, as Dr. Tachi mentioned on Gwendolyn's show, if you are looking for truth, make sure you can back it with 3 resources. Don't just, oh, I just saw this, such and such, and I heard this. Back it with 3 resources. So that way we're all being educated together, and you're protecting the community by giving us good, straight information that's reliable. So we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, and I think that's it. I think it's good. Also, I gotta do my little banner stuff at the end. I gotta do that. Hello, gotta do that, right? I gotta do that. And if you are, make sure if you join our email address, email list, go to my website, which is www.ronlewisphotos.com. Click on that and you can sign up for emails. And also event photography. I do event photography. I have a big event coming up tomorrow for the Scottish and the UK. I'm doing one of the events tomorrow. I'm so excited about that. But if you have a event that you want to have photographed and documented, and call me. I am available to that. Also, this is our Patreon members. April is our drive. So I hope that all of you freebie people that are on the Patreon free, that you think I'm worth $3 or $5 a month, you'll step it up, or even more. But if you are part of this community, please invest in the community, because we are definitely trying to grow the community and also give you information that hopefully will help you. No, not hopefully, that will help you be more successful by having interviews and conversations. So make sure. But again, a thank you to our Patreon members who support this platform every month by contributing to this platform every month. So don't be a freebie. Join, become someone that shares and invest in what we're doing here. Okay. And also to one of our biggest sponsors here, Rolling Clouds. I just want to make sure we give them a shout out. They are one of our biggest sponsors, huge sponsor to our platform. And I think that's it. There we go. And one day I'm going to get that producer. 2 of them. I got to have 2 or 3 of them, right? So we'll do that too. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us, and have a great Thursday. And we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, later. Hello, and thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.